Okay, we're ready to geocode now. First thing that I have to do is I need to be able to find the toolbar that I need for geocoding. So I'm going to right click anywhere in the gray area up here and go down until I find the geocoding toolbar. Open it up. In this case, the toolbar is opening up right here in my window, but it's a movable toolbar, so you could move it anywhere that you want it. You can move it onto another screen if you have it. But for now, I'm going to put it right here. And you'll notice in a pull down here that I have several things. I have an option for a World Geocoding Service or an MGRS Military Grid Reference System. I'm going to use the World Geocoding Service. This is an ArcGIS Online service. And you'll notice that I could type in an address and then copy the addresses from here and type them in here and then have it show up on the map. But that would be really slow again. So instead, I have the opportunity to go over here and geocode a table of addresses. So I'm going to do that. First thing I'm going to do, though, just to make it easier to see, is I'm going to close this table since we don't need it open right now. And then I'm going to go over here to geocode addresses, and I'm going to use the World Geocode Service, ArcGIS Online. And I'm going to open it. First thing that happens now is that I get an ArcGIS sign-in dialog. It wants me to sign in to my using my ArcGIS Online username and password. And this is one of the reasons that not everyone here is going to be able to use ArcGIS geocoding services, because it's a paid service. I happen to have a site license here at Middlebury College, so we happen to have a site license. So I'm able to log in with my username and my password, and once I'm logged in, then I have full access to the geocoding service. But if you don't pay and you don't have a paid service, you're out of luck, and that's why Batch Geo might be your only option. But if you do have the ability to pay, and maybe then this is what you would do. They may change this in the future. It used to be free, and now it's a paid service, but we'll see. So the geocoding address wizard sort of comes up here, and it says, would you like to use this sheet 1? Well, yes, it's the only one that I have. And then, what fields would you like to use for the address? Well, it's not as smart as Batch Geo. It can't find a field to use for the address, so I can use the pull down and go to home address. It did find city, the field city, to match with city, and then it also found for the region, it found state, and then for postal, of course, zip. So those are really all the only ones that I need right there. So I just had to correct it for one address, for one field. I had to put home address in there. And then it's going to create a static snapshot of the table. It's going to create a shapefile, and it's going to try to put that shapefile right on my desktop right now. You could put it somewhere else if you want. And it's going to name it GeoCoding Results.Shape. For the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to leave that name right there. There are advanced geometry options, which right now probably are not important. Use the address locator's spatial reference. That's going to be latitude and longitude. So it's going to give me, it's going to put on the map all the points, and it's going to put them in latitude and longitude. There are also geocoding options, which I think probably most are grayed out right now, but we can look at these a little bit later if you want. You can change the spelling sensitivity and the minimum candidate score. So I'm going to leave those the way they are. So really all I need to do is, I've got the sheet, I've got all the fields, I just need to hit OK, and let's see what happens. Boom, it did it. It's finished. It matched 16. It was one was unmatched. I'm going to close this window, and there they are on our map. As you can see, that was quite a bit faster than the other service, the Batch Geo service. And I now have over here in my table of contents a new layer called GeoCoding Results. And that is the 16 new points that I have. But let me just check a couple of these just to be sure. So I'm going to pick up my zoom in tool and I'm going to zoom into an area of Chicago. Let it redraw. There we are. Why don't I go maybe right here? Let's see what this one looks like. Oh, it's North Kenmore Avenue. And I think I'm just going to make these points a little bit bigger so you can see them. So I'm just going to click on them. And there's a dialog box that comes up. Maybe I'll make them a little bit bigger. There you are. Now, if I pick up my Information Identify tool, I can click on this point, and I get a window that comes up. It says, here it is right here. This is the address that it matched to, 2765 North Kenmore Avenue, Chicago, Illinois. And this is the original information down here. Name, gallery, exhibit, start date, and at home address, Chicago, Illinois. So it looks like it was able to accurately match that to North Kenmore Avenue. But you'll notice that there is an original address, home address, and then ArcGIS makes a new field up here called the match address. So what happens if with that one record that didn't match? Well, this is the nice thing about ArcGIS. I know that there's one record that didn't match. So let me see if I can interactively match that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on the GeoCoding results, and I can go down to Data, and underneath Data is something called Review Rematch Addresses. I'm going to click that, and it's going to open a dialog box for me. Here we are. And this dialog box is going to show 17 records right here. And it shows that the first record, it shows the status right here. So for each record it shows a status, whether it was matched, meaning M, or tied, meaning T, or unmatched, meaning U. And you can see that this first record right here is unmatched. And that was the record that was way over here. And it was this one right here, Artist 1, Alice Loffer. And we did not have a home address for her. So it was unmatched. But we do have a studio address. So if I want to, I can match this to the studio address. So how am I going to do that? Well, I'm just going to put this back over here for now. And I can come down here, and what I have is a dialog box. And in here, I can put in interactively an address and have it see if it can find suitable matches. Now, what I'll do is come over here one more time to the original address, in this case not the home address, but the studio address right here. And I am going to double click it and then right click and copy that value out of there. Now I can come over here and I can paste it into my box, and I still don't have any candidates. But if I now type in, let's say, Chicago, aha, now it's found Chicago, Illinois, 1045 Northwestern Avenue, Chicago, Illinois. And it tells me that that matches 100%. The next one matches 100%. It came from two different sources. There's one from a source for point addresses, and there's one for street addresses. And these are, and again, ArcGIS uses different sources. It looks like in this case, I'm not sure it matters whether you use point address or street address. I'm going to use the point address right here. So I'm going to use that one right there, and I'm going to come down, I'm going to highlight, and I'm going to hit match. And it is now matched. Okay, so now when I close this, I can come over to my geocoding results, and I have an attribute table too that I can open. So I'm going to open this attribute table, and now you can see that I have matched this first record now. It's matched 1045 Northwestern Avenue, Chicago, Illinois. And if I right click, I can actually zoom to this selected record. Boom. And it should zoom me in there. And there we are, right here. That is the address. And I've got my match address, and that matches up to not my home address, not the home address, but to the studio address. So this is how ArcGIS works. Now what I can do is just zoom out a little bit, see the whole data set. And I am going to make sure that all of my records are unselected, so I'm going to go up here and clear the selected features. Now what I want to do is I want to make sure that I actually have saved the results and the changes that I made. So the nice thing about this is that ArcGIS automatically saved the changes that I made when I matched. So everything should be set now, and this particular layer right here is on my desktop. It's a shapefile. If I go down to the properties, right click and go to the properties, I can find out that it's on my desktop. It's called GeoCoding Results, and it's all set to go. It can be used in the next step in whatever geographic analysis you use, or it can be exported to other programs as well, other GIS programs. But shapefiles are very, very commonly used, so this is a good format to have it in. Okay, that's all for now with this part of the geocoding.